Alrighty. Okay. Well, I think let's crack on. We just hit 7 o'clock. So, good evening. Welcome everybody to our webinar tonight on our essential coronavirus business update. Tonight we bring you HR obligations, working from home, and tech strategies for your business. I'd like to welcome tonight Leisa Messer to the panel, Megan Hunt, and Alfredo Attard. These guys here have all been influential in working with some of our clients. Obviously, those who are not our clients tonight, we are hoping that if there's a need and you need to reach out, then please, by all means, make contact with these guys. Before we get started, I'll just sort of run through a summary of what we're going to be looking at tonight. So, Lisa's going to take us through the stand down provisions and looking at obviously what to do when sort of work slows down, and then followed on by working from home obligations. We're then going to go talk cross live to Megan, and Megan's going to be running through what she's been doing with tech implementation and how she's implemented that with some working from home examples, and then follow on with some online tips and social media. And we've also got Alfredo tonight, who's joined us from AMA, who's actually going to go through some opportunities that are out there, obviously for internet deployment and so forth. So that's just a brief summary. Before we get into the presentation, though, I know a lot of you have probably been watching on TV about the JobKeeper subsidy. Now, there's a lot of information that's coming to hand. A lot of it still is not clarified in full. What I can tell you, though, at this stage is that what we know, that any businesses that are obviously their annual turnover is less than 30%, they will be able to access this job seeker payment. How it'll work in brief is basically payments will be made from the ATO to the employer. Those payments will happen around about the first week of May. So what I'm probably trying to encourage a lot of people, a lot of clients, is that yes, we're all stressed at the moment. Yes, we have a lot of issues going on. We're all seeking obviously some payments and things to come through. The reality is, unfortunately, that these funds, whether they be the PAYG boost, whether they be government funding, we're not going to see any of that sort of money until, unfortunately, the 28th of April, and then flowing into May. So just be aware. Obviously, my team at MURO are working hard behind the scenes to try and solve all of those packages that are on the table. And so we appreciate your time and patience with that. Just bear in mind, I just wanted to run through just in regards to the JobKeeper subsidy again, what an eligible employee is. So basically, to meet this test, it has to be anyone employed by the relevant employer as at the 1st of March. They need to be currently employed by the employer, including those who have been stood down or rehired. And Lisa will touch on that tonight. They must be full-time, part-time, or casual that have been more than 12 months. They must be at least 16 years of age. They must be an Australian citizen or hold a permanent visa or a protected special category visa. So I know that some of you out there tonight listening might have some New Zealand background. So I think at this stage you're included. And the other one, I did have a question about this as well, is that if you're in receipt of a JobKeeper payment from another employer, then you're not actually able to access it twice. So following on from that, it's really about employees, but they are talking about sole traders, partnerships, and others that maybe potentially qualify for the JobKeeper payments as well. So just bear with us on that. Obviously, as we get more information to hand, we'll pass that through. But just a quick example. So the $1,500 fortnightly payment, how it'll work essentially is that we've got Nick, for example, who's a part-time employee, and his salary per fortnight is $1,000. Okay, so basically for Nick, the business will continue paying him the $1,000 per fortnight with tax salary. They will continue to pay Nick an additional $500 per fortnight before tax. The money, the $1,500, will be received by the employer from the ATO. It's then up to the employer to decide whether they want to pay super guarantee charge on that extra $500. So what I've got to stress is that your employee will get the maximum $1,500 across the board. But if their existing salary is less than that, super guarantee is paid on the lower salary, and you have a choice whether you want to pay super guarantee on the difference to make it to 1,500. So yeah, sorry, I've run through that pretty quickly, but like I said, there's a lot of change happening pretty rapidly. So I'd ask you to bear with us and be patient. As more information comes to hand, we'll keep you posted. So let's crack on with the webinar tonight. So Leisa from HR Business Direction. Leisa has looked after a lot of clients and helped with a lot of HR issues with my clients. I thought it was prudent to get her on tonight to talk about obviously the current COVID-19 issues and how they apply. So Leisa, thanks for joining us tonight. Talk us through the stand down provisions at the moment and how they kind of apply to most of our business clients.
Yeah, thanks, Michele. If you don't mind, sort of just beforehand, I really wanted to say something. I mean, COVID-19, interesting for a word for businesses. There's been a lot of information out there as well. And as you know, things are moving and changing all the time. This situation, I know people keep saying it, we've never been in before, but I guess in terms of employment legislation, there is little guidance really specifically for this and this situation. So there's not much there really to tell or guide employers as to what to do in situations such as, what do you pay employees if they're quarantined, or what do you do if there's a school closure and things like that. And there's not only necessarily just the legislative considerations, but rather the ethical and moral challenges for businesses. And I think the Prime Minister has been alluding to that right from the beginning, and now demonstrating that through backing it up with the stimulus packages and really trying to make sure that businesses hold on to their staff at least for as long as possible. And that was particularly with the JobKeeper allowance announced yesterday that Michele has just discussed. So I sort of really wanted to say that because I'm finding that, clients are, jumping really quickly. And I think it's something that they should just consider and make sure they talk to Michele or their accountant and do their figures first and just give it some thought before people lose more jobs, or more jobs are lost, I should say.
Yeah,
but,
I think that's important. You mentioned that, Leisa, because obviously there's a lot of things on the table right now. A lot of things are unknown. Obviously, we're trying to broadcast this information to you as quick as possible, but bearing in mind that the government can't work as fast to keep up. So we're all sort of stuck in the same boat. We're still trying to work through these challenges as they come up.
Yeah.
Right.
But that aside, for the purposes of this webinar, but certainly one to remember and consider, I think. But, what do you do if work is slowing down? Most of the questions that we're getting at the moment are around stand downs, how to terminate people, what are the options, how do we do it? And so I'll talk about that tonight. I also wanted to say before I start talking about the stand downs is please remember this is general information. It's not specific advice. There is different information for different industries, for different clients under different conditions. So it must be looked at on a case-by-case basis and happy, to do that for you if you would like to reach out. But we'll go to standing down employees first of all the options, as this is one that we're hearing a lot about in the media. And I guess, it may be one of your questions as well. However, bear in mind there are other options. But under the Fair Work Act, an employer can stand down employees during a period in which the employee can't be usefully employed because of one of the circumstances. Now there's three. So one is industrial action, so that's not relevant here. Two is a breakdown of machinery or equipment that the employer can't be held reasonably responsible for, so that's not an option here either. And the third one being a stoppage of work for any cause for which the employer cannot reasonably be held responsible. Now, I know that sounds really easy, but it's actually not. So this doesn't actually refer to a slowdown in business. This refers to a stoppage of business. So it's interesting, and I'll get onto that. Sorry, I'll just give you some examples first of the stoppage, not a slowdown. So a couple of examples of businesses closed because an enforceable government direction relating to non-essential services, which has happened in the hospitality industries and gyms, etc., just recently. Another example is a large proportion of the workforce is in self-quarantine, meaning that the remaining employees can't be usefully employed. Or there is a stoppage of work due to the lack of supply for which the employer can't be held responsible. The other important aspect of a stand down is that employees who can be usefully employed can't be stood down. So this might mean someone undertaking some maintenance work, or a bus driver who would normally drive a bus is doing some cleaning, some maintenance, or doing different work to keep things going. Those people who can be usefully employed where at all possible can't be stood down.
So Lisa, sorry to interrupt, but I think in the hospitality industry, it's been obviously the biggest one probably affected at the moment. So if, for example, like let's just say that they've had to close doors to the public in terms of a restaurant, but they've been able to continue trading, because I think where there's a lot of conjecture about the information coming out is that they've been forced to close doors, which means that they've potentially lost a lot of revenue, and therefore can't continue with the current terms that they've done with their employees. So therefore the stand down measures is where they're probably looking at going, okay, well, if I can go forward here, I will need to probably let a couple of people go. So that kind of thing. I mean, that's probably I think the issue that most people are facing in that industry right now.
Yeah. So they've got some staff there that they can usefully employ to keep things ticking over a bit, but they would have to stand some employees down.
Yeah, and so basically they do have a right then in that case.
I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's the biggest issue that I've been finding the clients asking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Employees that are stood down remain employees. So whilst they're not paid during this period, they continue to accrue leave. You can offer your employees to use leave first, and then after that leave is used, they can officially stand down. I'll talk about that leave in a minute because that can only be directed to be taken in some cases. These are provisions that are according to the Fair Work Act, and you may have some different clauses in your enterprise bargaining agreement or your employment contract, so it's really important to check that. And I know it seems that others are doing it, so they've talked about probably a lot of the retail stores they've talked about being stood down. I guess you've got to remember there that we don't know what their terms and conditions of employment are. I don't know what their EBAs are and what their contracts say. They and the media could be using that terminology incorrectly. And it's also a possibility that they could be standing employees down unlawfully. But if you can't stand employees down, but you still need to do something due to a decline, there's still other options. And I think now is the time to really communicate and consult with your staff. I think you might be amazed as to what might come out of it, particularly if they think that their job is at risk. There's a lot of innovative things happening out there at the moment, as Michele just touched on before, restaurants doing takeaways, distilleries doing hand sanitizers. I'm sure there's other stories, and if you got them, I'd actually really love to hear them. So let me know.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think like a lot of the information coming out there, obviously, it's all case by case basis, as you alluded to there, Lisa. It's not a one size fits all, unfortunately. Each case needs to be looked at independently, I believe. Because, like I said, your example of the Myers and the stores and so forth. Yeah, unfortunately, if they close the doors and the public are not allowed to enter, then yeah, there's a classic shutdown. I mean, if we look at Virgin and Qantas and so forth, similar. So that's interesting. All right. We know obviously that the stand down provisions are there for us, but there's obviously other options when the work slows down. So things like leave and looking at all those things. So what should we be saying to clients? What should clients be thinking about if they don't want to take that stand down provision?
Or can't, I think, is probably more the issue. But look, I think it's really easy to go straight to a redundancy, which is okay at these times. But there are other things that you can consider first, so that when things do start to pick up, you've got your staff there. So one of the options that you'll see there is asking employees to take leave. You can do that by mutual agreement. or you can direct them to take leave where it's possible that you can do that. And there's some specific requirements around that depending on the award coverage and which award, and I'll touch on that in a second. Another option is to ask employees to reduce hours for a period of time to assist until things pick up. And again, there's some things around that as well. And I think thirdly, before a redundancy, and if and when all leave accrued has been taken, you can ask your employees to take unpaid leave or leave without pay. Leave is not accrued whilst you're on leave without pay, which is unlike a stand down, which I find quite interesting. There is no entitlement to public holidays, and continuity of service continues as well. So if employees are award covered, you can only direct employees generally to take annual leave if they have more than 8 weeks accrued. And then in most cases, you can only ask them to take 2 weeks so that they've still got 6 weeks up their sleeve. This may change from award to award, so don't quote those exact figures. You'd need to check your specific award coverage. However, on that, the Fair Work Commission yesterday announced some temporary changes to the Clerks Award and the Hospitality Industry Award, specific to the COVID-19 pandemic. So it has some changes there around the taking and directing of leave, reduced hours, and ordinary hours of work, amongst a couple of other things. So it's easier to get people to take leave, and you don't need to give them as much notice. And in some cases, there's not as much rules around how much they take. Reduced hours, again, not as much notice is required, and depending on the award. So there's some changes there which is trying to help employers in this situation, which is great to see. There's also today been an announcement of an application. So it hasn't gone through yet, but it's an application for changes to the Restaurant General Award, Industry Award. So I would think that that would be quite similar, and there may be some other changes yet that we'll see in different awards. But specific to, particularly if you're looking at reducing hours, along with these new provisions in some awards, it still requires consultation with your employee. So you still need to talk to them about it. You still need to hear, what their views are, and you still need to take that into consideration. It's probably just not as formal as it needs to be when you're undertaking a redundancy.
So basically, obviously this is probably new to a lot of people, having to have that conversation with people about reducing hours, about reducing their, taking a 20% pay cut and so forth. So, are you finding it's difficult, to talk to the employers around this? I mean, obviously they've got to have the communication and discussion with the employee first. But where do you draw the line and say, hey, you need to come talk to me, first, and then sort of go back? What are you finding there?
As in, talk to me?
Yeah, so yourself, yeah.
Oh, look, I'll probably, find out the details first, and I'm happy to provide them to anyone who wants them. But yeah, it's really about finding out, what constraints do you have within your award or your contract or your terms and conditions for your employees? What have you got to work with? So I think it's really important for you to really understand them first, so then you can go and talk to your employee at that point.
Okay, awesome. So those of you out there listening, if you've got any concerns, issues, best thing to talk to your employees, understand right now that we're in this crisis, and I think everyone understands we're in this crisis, so it shouldn't be a difficult conversation piece. But I would then encourage you to talk to people like Leisa and get the finer details, because like you said, it's not not every case is the same. They're all different. So
absolutely.
All right. I just want to jump on to the next slide here. So working from home. Now, of course, this is a big topic. Everyone unfortunately is working from home under the current situation. And I think there's a lot of things we need to think about. A lot of people have probably been doing the work from home scenario in the past, but have forgotten about the fact that, there are workplace health and safety issues. There are things that you need to deal with. So what have you got policies and things that that you can help our clients with, and anyone else sort of looking for those things?
Yeah, absolutely, Michele. I think in terms of working from home in this situation, I mean, I was really me and my team have been working from home for the last 10 years. That's nothing new for us. But, I've been positively surprised as to how many and how quickly businesses put their flexible and working from home arrangements into place to ensure the health and safety of their staff and the public really in this situation. But what was even more surprising to me was for those that did, implement the working from home, these actions were above and beyond what the government was asking at the time. I appreciate now that they're asking as many people as possible to work from home, but it's certainly not a directive. So that's been quite impressive to me. I know Megan will speak to you next about the IT considerations, particularly when working from home, but I guess firstly the health and safety considerations. Look, as Michele said, whilst working from home, arrangements have been required for health and safety requirements. It is great that it has been embraced, and it ensures, continuity of business and individuals' income. So it is definitely a win-win situation. However, health and safety doesn't stop there. Health and safety of employees extends to working from home, and their home is now their workplace. So an employer has a primary duty of care and must do whatever is practical to ensure the health and safety of their workers. And you would have heard many cases over the years to demonstrate that. But a worker also has responsibilities, and I don't think we can't forget that. They have an obligation to take care of their own health and safety and follow policies, procedures and instructions to put in place. If you don't do this, there's a risk of a workplace injury and therefore a compensation claim. And that would go ahead if an injury has arisen out of the course of employment and the employment was a significant contributing factor to injuries. Now, it would be interesting to see how they dealt with it, during this pandemic. I don't know, but it's certainly interesting because there's a lot more people doing it. So we therefore, as Michele touched on, we therefore recommend that you ensure a process, just as you would when you had people working from home, for flexibility under any normal circumstance. And that would be documented, include, what you've agreed to. So anything about cost, hours and days of work is really important from a workplace health and safety, workers' comp perspective, but also to establish boundaries and reduce the risk of fatigue or stress. Where's the location? So the home address, and any equipment that has been provided. Have a policy in place, and some of that information that you can include in the policy, but also important to include, what are the expectations? What performance are you expecting? How is it going to be reviewed? And also a checklist for the employees to be able to check and assess and set up their own work area, and for the employer then to assess that for any risks. Processes for employees when they're working from home is also really important, which may be the same but may not, in reporting any injuries, hazards, incidences and any changes in circumstances. So if they're sick and they're not working a day, or they're working different hours or something like that. It's also really important to see if you can agree on how to keep in touch with employees to reduce the impact of working from home in isolation. Some will be fine with it and others won't. Sorry, I've just lost my train of thought.
I think it's interesting because a lot of people have got their office procedures and policies, and there's what I'm finding is there's not a lot of thought put into it. Everyone's gone in an immediate run and said, "Oh, we've got to work from home now, so let's go." All of a sudden, everyone's working from home, and they go, "Oh, okay, we forgot this, we forgot that. Oh, we didn't think about this or that," and trying to rely on their office policy, which unfortunately doesn't cut it. You're not in the office anymore. You're out of the office.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think your policies and procedures and things that you offer clients is important. Again, I encourage everyone out there listening tonight to try and make contact, or if you've got those policies in play, awesome. But yes, no, it's definitely an important time. And like you said, Leisa, we don't know at the moment, what the government's going to enact on us after that period where things go back to normality. So that's an interesting.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing is you don't really know how long it will go on for too. So I think it's really important that you do assess the risk and continue to check them. Ask them to fill out a checklist again. Get them to take photos of their work area so that you can inspect it, because you can't do that physically.
Yeah. I think, so your point on engaging employees and asking are they okay, what we've implemented in our office, so Sophie, our office manager, is tasked with looking after, the health and well-being of everybody, and also, productivity and so forth. So we've implemented a policy that she will ring in unexpected at specific times to the accounting team groups on a Facebook. So it's just because I think it's important to see visually as well as talking to them on the phone. So again, and we'll touch on some of this in Megan's discussion a little bit later on. But what other things can we do to engage employees from your perspective?
Yeah, I guess, aside from those physical risks, as Michele just said, consider those psychological risks. Take care and support your employees for their mental health. It's important to keep that communication up, and not just by email. Ring your team regularly, continue to have your team meetings using technology, which Megan was going to talk to you more about. Encourage them to take breaks, although appreciate performance and productivity, that's going to remain important. Encourage them to talk to their colleagues about work, about their task at hand, just as they normally would. I think it's really important more than ever to continue to connect with the restraints and restrictions that they have. Some other things that I think are really important too are, provide direction, really show that leadership if you're in that leadership position, touch base with them regularly, and contextualise the coronavirus information that's coming out for them in the organisation. So we all know what's coming out, but what does that mean for the organisation and for them? So I think that's really important to do for them, and even establish some team guidelines. So I think you'll get a lot out of that in terms of performance and productivity if you show that you care. So I think hopefully you can see that helps you with your return on investment, I guess, from people, but it also creates a work environment that supports and prevents mental health. At HR Business Direction, we're passionate about both. And so we believe that's our little way that we make a true difference in society for businesses and individuals. So it's a really important time to ask the simple question, are you okay? So are you okay?
I think I'm there at the moment. Ask me in 6 months' time. No, but look, it's a brilliant initiative that you support there. The Are You Okay? I know you're passionate about it, so that's awesome, Leisa. Well done.
Thanks, Michele.
So I've got a question come in here. This is relating to reduced hours and leave. So it's a question: what are some factors for asking employees to reduce hours? What if they say no? Did you also say that stand down, there is no leave accrued?
I'm not quite sure I understand exactly. What if they say no? Well, you have to consult with them, which means you have to agree with them. Now, I can't remember the exact wording in those awards at the moment off the top of my head, sorry, but it did make it easier for employers to do that, even though there were still restrictions around that. But yeah, look, I guess at the end of the day, during that consultation process, that's where you need to let them know what the reality is, because it may be that if they don't reduce their hours, then they will just be on unpaid leave or, redundancy. So I think that's where just the conversation and putting it into perspective is really important to help get the best outcome for both parties. So I hope that answers that question for that person.
Yeah, cool. Again, just a reminder, this webinar will be recorded and will be sent out to you. So I'll put Lisa's details up on the screen there now. For anyone that needs to get in touch, please reach out. So we're more than happy to try and help you through this. Obviously, it's tricky and trying times. So again, thank you, Leisa, for coming on and such a late hour in the night. Again, I know we're all busy, but yeah, I think we're all united in this front at the moment. So yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Michele. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So let's cross over now live to Megan. Let me just see if I can bring her in there. Yep, there we go. So Megan runs, for those of you who don't know, runs in addition with Tom Romano, Murotech. Now, Murotech has been instrumental in helping clients as well in the tech implementation space. There's been a lot of jobs that have been done in aiding particularly hospitality clients. So interested to hear Megan's take on that. But so yeah, basically, Megan, take us through the first point there. So tech implementation. What are you guys doing as a business as Murotech?
Yeah, thanks, Michele. Yeah, look, obviously technology is kind of, rules our world these days, feels like sometimes. And in your business, you want to make sure you've got the right technology in place and that your technology is actually implemented and connected in the right way, that it's going to give you the most efficient possible outcome. So we work with businesses to make sure that they've got the right stuff, it's connected properly, and it's going to really work for their business. There's really no sort of set out of the box way that this can happen. You need the right advice at the start to get it set up properly. So yeah, hospitality obviously is a big one. You've got POS, you've got your FPOS, you've got your accounting systems, you've got payroll, HR, rostering. You've got all this stuff, and everything will probably be in its own application, and you just got to make sure that it connects right to give you that efficiency and make the business, be as great and efficient as it can be. Obviously,
the point that you've got on that slide there, working from home, maximizing productivity, and again, we touched on it just before with Leisa.
Yeah.
You've been instrumental in helping set up the MURO platform. I know you've sort of helped move and transition us personally from old antiquated servers and desktop systems and printers and so forth to the cloud. But take us through how easy was it to actually get the whole work from home platform up and running?
Yeah, again, it depends kind of what you got already. Obviously, MURO Accounting have been, in a 12-month journey of getting their practice completely on the cloud. So we had a bit of the back end work already done there for us. But again, it is pretty easy to get set up overnight. I've got Microsoft Teams there just because a lot of people out there will be already running an Office 365 account. If you've got that up and running, it's really easy, and you possibly even have it and you don't even know you've got that service there that you can kind of just switch on. It provides, like what Leisa was saying, you need to still have that connection between staff members, collaborate, communicate with each other, and Teams is a good solution for that. You can, it's just a chat platform. You can call people, you can share your screen with people, you can, talk. It gives you that feel that you're in the office still, but you're really not there.
And you guys offer training around the Microsoft Suite platform and obviously the Teams and integration with Office and so forth?
Yeah, 100%. If you don't know what you've got set up currently, or you want to completely switch over to Office or whatever, we can definitely help with that.
Okay. And I think, one of the things that we've implemented with our office is the whole huddle situation and the use of Zoom. So, morning huddles have been great because, again, it's a visual thing. We've changed the platform now. We've changed from seeing people, in our face to going on an online platform. So to gauge how everyone's feeling, how everyone's going, especially at the start when I think, we had a few people that were ill, and we said, look, best that you stay home. So it was a good way to sort of gauge how they were and how they're feeling. But it was an easy process that Megan put in there for us to get it up and running, and likewise Zoom. So again, step us through the Zoom concept. I mean, like it's not a difficult platform, but something that everyone should be using.
Yeah, obviously this meeting's on Zoom, so no, we use it. It's great. Yeah, so Teams obviously internal stuff. Zoom is more of your external platforms. So talking with clients, having your face-to-face meetings still, building that relationship and connection with them, hosting webinars like this one. It really gives you that platform to still be out there, in the face of your clients in the world, from wherever, your office or your house.
Okay. Yeah, and what about just in terms of Zoom? I mean, obviously there's different packages and so forth. So what do you recommend most people should be doing?
Yeah, look, obviously you can easily get yourself set up on the free platform just to get yourself started and out there. If you do want to start doing, webinars, big meetings, I know the free platform does have a 40-minute cap off. So if your standard meeting goes for 2 or 3 hours, you're going to want to look at some plans and stuff. So we can definitely go through that stuff with you guys and just see what's best suited for your business model.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think, like I said, it's it's a trying times. It's changing. We need to adapt and obviously go into this space. For those that are uncomfortable about being online and on video, well, unfortunately, I don't think we've got a choice anymore. This we'll call it innovation virus. Has really pushed people to go to these next platforms. So I think that's important. I want to just cross live now to Alfredo from Account Management Australia. Because I think it's interesting at the moment. We've had a lot of issues with people looking at internet and fallouts and dropouts and all that sort of stuff. Alfredo's been instrumental in helping our majority of hospitality clients to again deploy 4G systems when things have just dropped out, and of course that's big time when something like that happens. So Alfredo, thanks for coming on tonight, mate. Give us a rundown about what you've been doing of late with the deployment situation.
Thanks, Michele, and good evening, everyone. So the first thing that I want to say is that why would you need 4G to work from home? Well, you don't necessarily need a 4G service. You've got your NBN, you've got all your ADSL service, you've got your mobile phone hotspots. The problem is congestion, is bandwidth. So you may have NBN, and that may be working very, very good. The problem is there's been a change in our environment, and that is everyone. Not everyone, but there's a lot of people now. I was just talking to one of my best friend, and who works at the ATO, and the ATO now has got 10,000 people working from home. 10,000, and those 10,000 people are now all using their ADSL service or their NBN service, and they're going to be impacted. Telstra is helping where they can possibly to expand the bandwidth, but there may still be some impacted areas. This is where AMA comes in, and AMA can be used as like another tool inside your toolbox, so to speak, where you have this additional ability to get provided with a premium 4G hardware. This premium 4G hardware is not a USB dongle. It costs nearly $300, but it is a high performer, and it works via Ethernet, where you got two Ethernet ports, which you can expand using a switch as well. And obviously through Wi-Fi. But in a lot of cases, this particular service works better, not only against ADSL, but also NBN in some cases as well, depending on a lot of factors. Remember, guys, that when it comes to connectivity, there's not just one rule on what works and what doesn't work. For instance, we talked about congestion before. There's also the amount of Wi-Fi devices that are used inside the house. That also puts another strain. So you may have NBN, you may also have the boosted speed. Whether you pay for it or you get given to it by your telco provider, doesn't matter. That speed is irrelevant to the bandwidth. So in relation to the effectiveness of your internet performance. Typically speaking, your average telco provider standard modem will assist up to 7, maybe 8 Wi-Fi devices at any given time. So this is another element where you need to consider what you've got working in your house, and is that going to be enough to perform your daily work duties from your house.
And I think Alfredo, that classic example today, I think there was a client that was down internet, and I think within probably about two or 3 hours, you had it deployed and out to their premises. So it was like phenomenal. The client
I've sent an Uber out, and the client had it within a couple of hours. So the biggest stress right now that no one really requires is basic necessities of connectivity. Connectivity should be seamless, should be a thing of the past that to have to worry about. So, but unfortunately, it's still happening. And I don't think it's going to be changing anytime soon. I hope it does. But the fact is that there are avenues that AMA can give, and what AMA can provide is an interim solution to your house. I'll be deploying an AMA flyer to all the to everyone that's logged in, and in that flyer you will see the prices, how much data, the inclusions of the device. It is extremely competitive. I know for a fact that it is very, very competitive against the biggest telco providers, and that's something that AMA can provide directly to everyone.
So I think Alfredo, that's important. You know, like as I think businesses start to work from home and incur obviously more online presence, you know, more video, more Zoom, more that, you know, these team meetings and so forth. It's critical that their internet has the capacity. Keeping in mind that I think if, you know, at the end of the day, families have you know, kids at home, you know, the kids are all connected to their devices, like you said. They're all running off the same internet. You know, it is a big strain on the system. And, you know, if I've got my team working at home, you know, I want them to be on the best possible, you know, software and hardware there. So that's awesome, Fred. Just running through your slide there. I mean, you've not just internet, you're looking after obviously electricity, gas, and other insurances and stuff too. So that's cool. I know you've been saving a few of my clients on some of these things. So for any of those people again tonight who connected, please reach out to Alfredo if you need any help or assistance. His information will be at the end of the webinar as well. And like you said, yeah, there'll be a flyer going around to give you an idea of costs and things. So thanks, Fred, for coming on tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so I just want to kind of wrap up on the end here and talk about online presence and online communities. So, you know, again, for those of you who are following us, have probably seen in the last couple of weeks, we've ramped up our presence in the social media space, and obviously Facebooks and websites and so forth. And Murotech's been influential in helping us to get to that point. There's still a lot to do. We've still got a lot of uncharted waters here with a lot of things that we're doing. But Megan, I suppose I want the listeners tonight to actually understand the value of social media, you know, and what it's doing for people, because, you know, we've got clients in hospitality, for example. Now these clients overnight have literally lost, you know, their human touch with people coming into their restaurants and cafes and dining, and have had to rethink how they do things. And so, you know, one of the biggest platforms that, you know, I think we've been trying to encourage a lot of clients is to jump on the social media space and bring that presence back to their homes. So can you give us an idea of, you know, the Facebook, Instagram situation and how we can apply that, you know, what you guys are doing obviously to get that out there and to help people?
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, Michele, this is a massive challenge, especially for some people that sort of social media is potentially a little bit scary. They don't want to go there, but it really is the key channel that people have got available still to contact their clients and get their brand out there. So sit down for a night, set up your Facebook page, set up your Instagram page. It's a pretty simple process. Obviously, if you need help, we're here, ready to go. There's a few little things you want to make sure you set it up right. Obviously, don't just go and set yourself a Facebook page up like under a personal profile and put your business name on it. You're just going to shortchange yourself of all the sort of business tools that you get with Facebook. But yeah, it's the best way to get your brand out there still. And, I don't know anybody that's not on Facebook. So you'd be crazy. The amount of people you've got access to is insane.
Lost you guys there, sorry. So with the website application, so again, you guys can assist in the website area as well?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people maybe already have a website that, you just want to do a revamp, you want to completely scrap it, get a new one. You might not have a website at all. If you're in retail, say, and your shop's, closed down or whatever, and you decide you're going to go down the e-commerce platform and you want to get everything set up online, let us know. We can help you get that set up.
So who do you guys partner with a few different providers as well for FPOS and sales, all those sorts of things?
Yeah, look, it depends on your business. We're not going to kind of push you down and say everyone go with Tyro, because Tyro potentially isn't the best option for that business. But look, I can chat with you, off this, and we can go through different options. It depends on your POS. It depends on who you're banking with. It's a lot of things to consider.
I think the biggest thing for me is that, the website is obviously your online presence and always has been, but unfortunately a lot of people don't use or haven't used their website in the right way. And of course, this whole change now where people are going online, I think it's even more important that, you need to get out there and, if you talk to your original website people and ask the questions, and get feedback, you want to see the data and analytics, you want to know that people are touching your page and looking at your stuff. I think for me, driving people back to that website all the time is probably the most important thing. And I know Megan can obviously make that work with the social media and then Facebook, Instagram posts and so forth. So yeah, things like this platform with Zoom, allowing us to record, videos to upload to YouTube for people to access at later dates. It all helps. Communication is key. So I encourage everyone out there who are not on Facebook and Instagram and doing these sorts of things to get out and do it. It's not hard. The first one, it might be a little bit tricky for you, but once you get into it and you start processing it, it is fairly easy. Megan, are you going to run through some tips and tricks there with the Facebook Live, or how to run us through how to do that?
Yeah, cool. Look, Facebook Live is awesome. It gives you, you say you might record a video and post on your Facebook page for your clients, and that it's good and it's a great thing to do. But Facebook Live it really feels like you're there, standing there next to them. People can ask you questions, whatever. So a few tips and tricks to get that up and running and make sure it works and people get engaged and stuff. Obviously, coming off the back of Fred, you want to make sure that your internet is 100% and you've got a clear, high-res, stable, video to be doing off. If you're on your phone and you're connected to a good quality Wi-Fi, that it should be good. Obviously, your 4G stuff on your phone, pretty good as well. But just maybe test it or whatever beforehand before you go live, just so it's working. When you are live, you can engage with people. So if you've got some people that have been asking you questions, if you're a restaurant and people have been asking you the same question over and over again, save it up, go live, do a Q&A, live questionnaire, whatever. Get your people engaged with it. Now, the broadcast time, if you are sort of doing 10, 20-second videos, it's actually not going to pop up on people's Facebook feed as much as if you do 3-minute plus video, it's going to show up. So the longer you can keep on there and do stuff, you know, show people cooking, show people doing whatever, it's going to push you up on the feed more, so more people will see it. And the last thing is just do it often. Don't just do it once and then never do it again. Because if people know that you're going to go live and you can tell them, oh, we're going live, you know, tomorrow at 4 o'clock, whatever, people are going to get excited about it and watch you and follow your page just so they can see it all.
Okay. Now, I know also that you guys have been instrumental in setting up a couple of programs like Sprout Social, I think it is, and Buffer, which are programs that you only have to post once and then it pushes out to all those different media channels. Is that right?
Yeah. Look, there's definitely stuff out there. You know, you don't want to have a post ready to go and have to go onto your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, you know, everywhere and do it over and over again. So, yeah, that stuff is 100% available and we can help you set it up and just make sure that when you have got a piece of content ready to go, it will go everywhere and make it nice and easy for you to just get that out there straight away.
All right, cool. So yeah, thanks Megan for giving a couple of insights there into that technological space. I think it's unfortunately that we are in a technological revolution. You know, it only feels like yesterday that we were using the brick phones, and now we've got these little things here that we can use, and probably not in the too distant future we'll have things sort of sat on our heads or around our ears that'll be able to pick it all up as well. So yeah, it's crazy times, but again, call for you know, that innovation space, you know, where we need to sort of jump in and help. So I just wanted to open up the channel now for communication between the panelists. So did anyone have any questions of anyone here?
No, I've. So you're talking to me, to us, the panelists?
Yes. Yep.
I thought very informative from Leisa and Megan. Obviously, we're all worried. I've got my wife that works in a accounting firm as well, and everyone is trying to keep as much of a hush-hush as possible in the HR scheme, but we all try to do our best and perform our very best and work with integrity. But if anyone wants any advice, happy to, obviously obligation free, any advice on 4G. If you've got any issues whatsoever with your telco provider, reach out to me. You've got my details there. We're very, very strong with saving and reducing electricity, gas, and business insurance. We've got very strong strategic partners that have provided Account Management Australia with exclusive reduced premiums and rates. So this all goes to the clients. So happy to engage that if you guys are interested.
All right, cool. Yeah, like I said, it's trying times that we find ourselves at the moment, and I think you know, like you said, Alfredo, like you say, Leisa and Megan, it's all about obviously communicating and trying to do the best thing we can. And I think, you know, like we're in those uncharted waters. You know, there's no official right or wrong answer, but I think we have to you know, enable people to care enough to understand that we're all in the same boat here. We're all you know, going down the same path. So you know, we do have to be compassionate to each other and obviously lend a hand and help each other out. So
can I just answer a question from an attendee? Alfredo, if my home has a 4G already, why would I need a separate 4G from anyone else? Well, basically, you are absolutely right. You may not need additional 4G services. This all goes with what you have currently with or without any 4G services. It all depends on your ability to perform under your current circumstances with your current devices. Talk to your telco provider, whoever that may be, reach out to them and see what they can offer. Reach out to AMA and we can do a comparison, and if we don't stack up, we will advise. But certainly having two 4G services, the only way that would benefit customers is if your current 4G service is underperforming because of your existing 4G device. So once again, if you've got a simple $50, well, right now you can get them as cheap as $30, 4G devices, that is not going to cut it. I can tell you right now, you will struggle. So that, I guess, to answer your question, that's it. If you've got a device that is not up to scratch with what you want, how you want to perform, then that's where you would need or consider a second 4G device.
All right, cool. Thanks for that, Fred. We've got another Fred there with he's basically said thank you for the help there. It's helped us tremendously. So yeah, like I said, everyone is in the same boat here, and I think there's probably a lot of older guests online potentially as well, myself included, that we do find this difficult. It is hard, and we need to be part of it. We need to get in and learn it. So it is the future and it's here to stay. So we need to deal with it. I just wanted to mention here to make sure that you're all following us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channels. Obviously, we'll keep you up to date with more information as it comes out. Our next webinar is live Thursday night at 7 o'clock. That one will take you through investment advice and strategic planning and looking at where the opportunities are. So we'll have some guest panelists there as well from the financial planning sector. So keep an eye out for that one. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to say a big, huge thank you to Leisa Messer from HR Business Direction, Alfredo from Account Management Australia, and Megan from Murotech. Guys, awesome work. Thank you for coming on and sharing insights and information. Again, if anyone out there listening tonight needs more help or information, please get in touch with any of these guys on the panel tonight. If you need any more information, again, stay tuned to our social media channels, and look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks, everyone.